Welcome, everyone. This is Our Travel Experiences. I'm your host, Kyle Rasmussen, and today I have with me Marissa. Marissa, how are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Good. Glad to hear it. So Marissa, I've been checking out your Instagram page here. You got some amazing pictures there, and checking out your website. So why don't you start and just kind of tell people your background and how you kind of got into this travel blogging life, and we'll go from there.
Sure. I started about 7 years ago. I went to Europe for the first time. It was my first time abroad in general. So I was there for about a month and I just started a website because I thought it would be easier to share pictures and stories with all my friends and family. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I got into international travel for quite a bit and then started shifting towards Pacific Northwest travel. It was obviously easier to get around because I'm from Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just thought it was fun to share with people who lived in the area new places to explore if they were locals. I mean, I've been here since I was 8, so quite a long time. So there's a lot of different places I had never been to. So I started writing about like weekend getaways from Seattle, exploring Oregon, down into
Mm-hmm.
California a little bit, in Canada. Um, and yeah, I guess the rest is history. It's really fun to explore so many new places and share it with people.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like, especially here in the Pacific Northwest, we have so many different places that you could check out. I mean, you got pretty much anything that you want here.
Yeah, that's why it's amazing. Like the ocean, the mountains, desert type terrain, like so many different places to go to.
Definitely. I'm along the same lines as you. I mean, I grew up in Yakima, just a couple hours from Seattle, and I spent a lot of my life here. But I haven't really explored Washington as much as I should. Uh,
Yeah.
I've explored so many other places around the world. But it's been kind of fun this year, just kind of re-exploring Washington. Um, I know I just went to Mount Rainier a few weeks ago, and it looked like you did too.
Yeah, I was there last week. It's nice that the
Okay.
snow is finally snow is melting in a lot of places, so it's a lot more accessible because I'm really into hikes. But I haven't done many hikes there, so that's my goal this summer is to explore the hikes.
Yeah, very nice. Where did you go this last time?
I went to the Sunrise area. So I took my baby. I didn't have childcare, so I thought might as well get out and explore for the day. So went to Sunrise to Berkeley Park and a couple of the easier hikes around the area.
Okay, very nice. Yeah, I was when I was up there a couple weeks ago, it was just a perfect day up there and still lots of snow on the trails, but it was a ton of fun.
Yeah, it's just such a huge mountain. I'm going actually this weekend
Yeah,
again to do some hopefully wildflower photography on the Paradise side. Um,
not very
Now
fun.
that they're supposed to be coming out now. It's a little kind of
Yeah.
late in the season for the snow, but it's melting now.
Yeah, I feel like it's lasted a little bit longer this year.
Yeah, it's good and bad, I think.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so tell me more about your website. It's Postcards to Seattle, correct?
Yeah, so Postcards to Seattle, the name being originally, again, I did international travel in the postcards were the form of like my blog post, sending
Hmm.
my stories back, my pictures back. But uh, yeah, now it just, I mean, I quit my job a long time ago. So now this is my full-time job.
Wow.
Um, just I learned about SEO about 4 years ago and really got serious about that, about being found in the search results. And so that significantly improved my traffic, um, and then thus help with income. So now, yeah, it's great to be able to go and keep adding new places. I write a lot about weekend getaways, like when I went to Yakima, but also a lot of hikes, a lot about so I have
Hmm.
like easy hikes or waterfall hikes. So trying to really add to that because that's one of the top questions I get is what hikes can people do?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, there's so many here.
Yeah, it's hard to answer that question.
Um, so I want to go back really quick. I'm curious, what is SEO?
um, SEO is so search engine optimization. So
Okay.
if I'm writing an article, like say waterfall hikes in Washington. Maybe that's like what I'm writing about. I want people to be able to type that in Google or whatever they use and find me on the first page of results,
Mm-hmm.
because that's going to get the traffic to my website. So I when I started, I was doing a lot of like Instagram campaigns, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But SEO is a lot more solid as far as staying in those search results and people consistently finding you. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't do many Instagram or social media campaigns anymore as far as income. I really solidify my articles to be found in the search results.
Interesting. I'll have to talk more about that with you offline.
Yeah.
Sounds really interesting. Um, but what was it like, uh, you know, getting into this full time? Because I'm assuming you started this while you were still working, your other job, and then I'm gonna guess it just built up enough over time that you could make that leap.
Exactly. Yeah, it was hard in the beginning. A lot of people don't like to hear that. They think just like quit your job and go to a beach.
Yeah.
So my back, I wish my background is exercise science. I went to Western Washington for a degree in exercise science, and then I got into personal training a bit, and then I got into physical therapy assistant. So
Okay.
I like the physical, I guess, aspect. I've always played sports my whole life, and that's why I like hiking so much. Um,
Hmm.
so I was working in physical therapy, and there just wasn't a big caseload, so I had a lot of downtime, and I wasn't working full hours. We didn't have enough patients where I was, so I was able to start doing long weekend trips, and that's kind of what got into this. And then there was a period where, unfortunately, I was working probably like 70 hours total with the physical therapy and then building up this website. So work
Hmm.
all night long. Wasn't the healthiest, but that's kind of how I had to get here. And I started getting virtual assistant jobs online with other bigger bloggers who needed help with little tasks. So I was able to build up income solely online and then quit my in-person job.
Hmm. Very interesting. Um, how long was that? Uh, that transition.
Um, Maybe about a year. Again, the beginning being, oh, this is kind of fun. I'll just do a post here and there. And then
Hmm.
getting a lot more involved in the blogger community and um, talking about ways that you can make money online. So seeking out that, getting referrals to work for people. So it took a while to build up because I wanted to make sure I had enough saved. I didn't just quit in case it didn't work out.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm working a lot of hours in my normal job, and then trying to get this built up to where I can do this full time. Um, and it's definitely tough right now, and definitely long hours. But um, it seems like if you stay consistent with it and you just keep finding ways to optimize, like you said, it seems like you can make it work.
Yeah. I mean, you get smarter about it every year, like with any job, I'm sure. But
Mhm.
quicker ways to work, more efficient ways to work, different ways to make income. That's everything. Every year I learn new things.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. What's been some of the most fun moments you've had in the blogging community, or like assignments or things that you've done for your website?
Um, Probably some of the international trips. I did a backpacking trip to Patagonia in Argentina.
Oh
It
wow.
was really cool. Like it was really, really beautiful. And then there's been trips, completely different culture like India and Morocco. So those were really interesting to see such a different culture and be absorbed in that for a little bit. So
Hmm.
I've had a really good variety. I'm really happy with the places I've been.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like I definitely would prefer to stay at places for longer versus like, oh, I've been to Sweden for a day or something like that,
Mhm.
versus staying for weeks at a time and exploring the culture a bit more. I don't really add up like the places I've been, like 100 places on my bucket list or anything like that. I think I've been to 30 countries, but again, like I've been to Ireland multiple times for weeks at a time. So I really, really like that country.
Hmm. Okay, good to know. I'm trying to get to Ireland hopefully in the next year or two. Um, and then actually, I'm curious about Morocco because I'm headed there in a couple months. What'd you think of that?
Oh, yeah, it was good. I went by myself. It was a little bit
Oh
difficult
wow.
as a solo female traveler. It was good, like nothing bad happened, but it took a lot of planning and precaution on my part, I think. But
Mhm.
I did do a couple of tours while I was there because there's some places like you need tours to go to the desert or things like that. You're not trying to
Yeah.
drive to the desert by yourself, but that was probably the coolest experience camping in the Sahara Desert. So if you have a chance to go to the desert, I would go there.
Yes, that was one of the things I have planned out is to go there.
Good. Yeah, it's really fun.
Oh man, I'm excited for that. That should be fun. What'd you think of Patagonia?
It was good. I really like Argentina as a country. I was there for I think a month in the country. I did the south part in Patagonia and then up to the very north part. Um, it just I really like the people. The food is really good. I had like empanadas every day for lunch. Um, and yeah,
Sounds
Patagonia is
really
fun.
good.
Like Patagonia, yeah, Patagonia is very much like a at least where I was, like a backpacking culture. So everyone's
Mhm.
very chill. Everyone goes hiking and comes home and has like beer in the village, like or in the tents if you're camping. Um, it was really laid back, but absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it looks like. I mean, from pictures, it looks like one of the most beautiful places on earth.
It's stunning. The mountains are just the scale is so different than here. Even though Washington is beautiful in itself, but the mountains are just gigantic there.
Yeah, yeah, it's another level.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. So, when you're making a blog post, what's kind of the process like, if you can share that?
Um, First the idea. I have to think of the idea. What I'm like, whatever the subject will be, and then I do an outline of it. So I mean, the one I just published was like 55 things to do in Seattle. Usually I don't do lists like that, but that was the topic, things to do in Seattle. And then obviously the outline is all the things to do. And then from there I'll fill in, I'll start writing after I have the outline of what I want to write about.
Okay. And do people like request specific types of things, or do you just kind of do whatever you feel like?
It's a mix of both. I have a decent amount of readers who reply either to my weekly newsletter. A lot of people talk to me on Instagram and they say, "Do you have a post on this?" And if I've gotten that question multiple times, then I'm like, "Well, it's probably a good idea. I don't have that post, and people are clearly looking for it." So I've gotten a lot
Mhm.
of great ideas from readers who have reached out. But
Yeah,
a lot of it too is just my own adventures. Like I'm gonna go explore a national park or something like that. Like we just got back from Crater Lake a couple of weeks ago.
oh,
So
nice.
I have a couple of posts coming on Crater Lake, what to do there, and then the Oregon coast. We did like a road trip up the Oregon coast. So it's like kind of yeah, a
Okay.
mix of my experiences and what people are asking for.
hmm Yeah, very cool. Crater Lake is amazing. That's one of my favorite places to visit.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. I loved it.
I've seen it at a couple different points of the year. So there's one time it was like totally covered in snow, and then I've been there like in the middle of summer where you can do all the hiking and stuff around there. Um,
Yeah.
it's I think both are really amazing.
Yeah, I would love to go back in the winter too. There was still quite a bit of snow when we were there, but a couple trails didn't have snow, which was nice.
Very cool. Um, yeah, so I'm curious with the Yakima trip, which is how I found you. How'd you decide on doing that?
I had been in talks with the tourism board for a couple years, and then it just with COVID, we had canceled trips, and then I got pregnant and canceled that trip. So, and then I met them in person at a travel conference earlier this year. And so then we talked about like, okay, let's finally do this trip because I had been probably 6 years ago when I first started my career, but I kind of breezed through Yakima. So I have had people ask, "Do you have a blog post on this?" So I really wanted to get a more detailed post on what there is to do, and I know so much had changed over the years too. So
hmm
they gave me a great itinerary: hikes outdoors, places, well, places to drink, places to eat. art to look at. Like there's a lot in Yakima that I didn't even know about. So it was really fun.
Yeah, what was one of the things that surprised you?
Um, yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know. It's a good the variety. I guess how big the valley is. Because I mean,
Mhm.
it's just Yakima City itself, but the Yakima Valley is quite large.
Yeah.
There are just so many different places. Like you drive like 20 minutes away from our hotel, and there was a really nice winery. Like there were just so many different things. Like this is really fun. Like there really is a lot to do in this area, which I had no idea.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I feel like especially if you're a beer or wine enthusiast, this is the place for you.
Yeah, it's hard to pick where to go because there's so many places.
Yep, yep, that's for sure. Any big trips planned currently?
Um, no, not. I think for the next few months, just hiking. Because I just before the snow comes back, I feel like we have kind of a short
Mhm.
window sometimes in Washington, depending where you
Yeah.
want to hike. Um, so probably yeah, just a lot of hikes, maybe a couple backpacking trips and camping trips. I'm not sure, probably somewhere. I might go to the Olympic Peninsula around November. Like tourist season dies down a little bit, but there's still plenty to do. Um, I really want to explore more of the coast. I've been to the
Mhm.
Ozette Triangle on a backpacking trip, but that's kind of it. So there's a lot of places I want to visit on the Olympic Peninsula.
Okay. Yeah, that's a place I haven't got to explore much of either. Would
It's
love to
yeah.
love to spend more time over there.
Oh, it's absolutely beautiful. It's just such a trek to get there. That's the only thing. So
Mhm.
it's best to stay there for a couple of days if you can. But I mean, there's a rainforest, there's the mountains, there's the ocean. Like it's a really diverse park.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. What's been your favorite hike in Washington?
Um, that's a hard question. I I guess I really like waterfall hikes. I love going to like Bridal Veil Falls. It's kind of by Stevens Pass. That's a really pretty one that's accessible to most people. I did that a couple months ago. That was really pretty. Um, but I am just getting into fire lookout hikes. I've just started to do a couple sunset
Okay.
hikes to fire lookout. So I was just at Kelly Butte, kind of by Rainier, last week. So that was really, really pretty. But I'm testing my skills a little bit because I don't normally hike in the dark, so that's new for me.
Mhm.
But you get amazing photos if you're there for the sunset overlooking the valley.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, it's got to be really beautiful set with the sun setting over the trees and everything.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, it's hard to pick a favorite. I don't know. There are so many good ones. Anything with a view. Like I'm always about a view at the end, either a
Mhm.
lake or the ocean or a waterfall.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I gotta say, I was when I went to Mount Rainier, I hiked up the what was it, the Skyline Trail, and
Yes, that's
yeah, went up to Panorama Point, and that was an amazing view for sure.
That's again, I haven't done many Rainier hikes, and I hope to get more by the end of the summer. But Skyline is probably my favorite right now. That's just a gorgeous loop.
Yeah, yeah, it was beautiful, and with I mean, just a perfectly clear day, so you could see. I mean, you could see the Cascades, go down forever.
Right.
It was perfect.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Um, what about outside of Washington? What have been some of your like your favorite hikes or places you found kind of along your travels in the U.S.?
Um, well, I guess not in the U.S., but Vancouver, British Columbia. They have some really, really good hikes. We go to Whistler every year. We have a timeshare up there. So
Oh,
there's
nice.
some really fun hikes. Like there's a train wreck hike by Whistler where it's old train cars that are now colorful with graffiti. But
Oh, wow.
it's really cool. It's pretty easy. Yeah, I guess I would say it was pretty easy to moderate hike for most people. And then you go over like a really big river and a bridge, and then there's a train wreck there. Like it's really fun. Um, yeah, I would say Canada has some really good hikes just because again the scale of their mountains are bigger than ours. So
Mhm.
like the Sea to Sky Highway is one of the most gorgeous drives, all the way up, well, up to Whistler at least, and past that. But uh, Vancouver Island, I've been there a lot of times. They have a lot of good hikes. I really need to explore more of Oregon. Our trip a couple weeks ago was great, but I don't have a lot of content on Oregon, so that's a big thing on my bucket list is to explore all parts of Oregon and get some hikes done there.
Hmm. Yeah, it's I feel like Oregon's really underrated. It has a pretty diverse landscape as well, similar to Washington.
It does, yeah. It's really big. It just takes a while to get down, especially like Eastern Oregon. I really want to get down there.
Hmm. Yeah, it's such a long trek.
Yeah, one day.
Yeah. So then you said national parks is another big thing that you focus on, right?
Yes. It's my goal to eventually go to all the parks. It's going to take quite a while because I think there's 63 at this point, but I'm
Yeah,
getting
something
there.
like
I think I'm on like 18, but
that. Okay.
um, yeah, I do a national park trip with one of my travel blogger friends every year. So we go to a new one, and we went to Death Valley this spring, which was really cool, really, really different than any park we've been to before.
Yeah, Death Valley is amazing. I went there like 6 or 7 years ago, and it's definitely a unique spot.
Yeah, it's very dry, very hot,
Hmm.
but really pretty. Like, yeah, very different types of hikes, but the rocks are so gorgeous.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. What's been some of your favorite national parks?
Um, things, well, they're all unique. I was gonna say things that are unique. I mean,
Hmm.
Death Valley is very unique. I really like that. Um, Joshua Tree is kind of small in comparison to others, but the Joshua trees themselves are really cool to look at.
Yeah.
And it's really good for stargazing out there because it's so dark. Um, uh, yeah, I've done a lot on pretty much all on the West Coast. Um, I hope to get out to the East Coast, like Great Smoky Mountains, Acadia.
Mhm.
I hope to do those next year. Um, yeah, I keep going back to like the ones in Washington, one because it's easier to get around in Washington. But I mean, North
Yeah.
Cascades is really pretty too. I think also because it's open for such a select period of the year because they get so much snow on that main highway. But
Hmm.
North Cascades has some pretty grueling hikes, but really rewarding views.
Yeah, yeah. I think the Washington national parks are some of the most beautiful for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
I think we're probably a little biased, but I think they are.
yeah. But I like you were saying, the national parks are so diverse. Like it's hard to kind of compare them. Like Mount Rainier is a
Yeah,
lot different than the Badlands or something like that.
right. Yeah. Yeah, they're all very unique. That's why I love them. It's very hard to pick one.
Yeah, yeah. I did a road trip a few years ago, and I went through the Midwest and all over like North Dakota, South Dakota, New Mexico, Arizona, all that, and just went to like all the national parks along the way. And it was so much fun just seeing the different landscapes and seeing some of the most beautiful places in the country and on Earth. Um,
Yeah.
and the national parks are just like I'm really glad that we have them because they are so beautiful.
Yeah, I am too. And I'm curious at how many more they're going to keep adding. They've added a
Yeah,
couple over the past few years.
yeah, yeah. There's been a couple new ones.
Like
Um,
White Sands in New Mexico, I really want to go to. It's a new air.
yeah, yeah. I haven't made it there yet. I know you mentioned Acadia. I'm headed there in a couple months,
Oh, fun.
so that should be exciting. I haven't got to do much of the East Coast ones either. So that should
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be beautiful.
be. I'm hoping that I'm gonna be like towards the beginning of like the fall season there up in that area. So I'm hoping the leaves are changing colors and everything.
Yes,
But
supposed to
we'll
be the
see.
best time to go. I've seen like gorgeous photos of that time of year.
Yeah, yeah, it should be really pretty. At least I'm hoping.
Yeah.
So as someone who is starting out their travel blog and has My travel dreams in making this a full-time gig. What kind of advice would you have for someone like me?
Um, I guess have, and I don't know if you do or not, but like have a kind of a business plan, since it is a job, like it is a career that you're trying to do. Like every year, usually around January, I go over like all the ways I'm making an income and really, really brainstorm, like take a few days to brainstorm like different ways that I can make an income.
Hmm.
I think with this industry, it's hard. You shouldn't really rely on one source of income. Like
Yeah.
people shouldn't rely on just Instagram or TikTok because that can always disappear. Um, so like I do some campaigns on social media. I have affiliate income through the website. I have a couple of products that was new for me in the last year. I made an SEO course and then I made a Seattle travel book, like for people coming to visit Seattle and just want all the
Oh, okay.
information in one thing to grab. So that's been pretty popular. So I think really, I guess my main thing I'm trying to say is diversify income to make sure there's a bunch of different um, streams coming in.
Hmm.
And then
Yeah.
every year, I mean, not even every year, but like every 6 months, reevaluate how it's going. Like, is it going in generally the right direction? And acknowledging that it can take time to build up traffic and your income, but just making sure it's generally going the right direction. And if not, like, what can you do to improve it, or should you
Hmm.
knowing sometimes too, like when to give something up. Like I was so set on Instagram, like I need to post every day, everybody else is, all that, but it doesn't really bring me a lot of joy and it doesn't bring me a lot of income. So I was like, why am I focusing so hard on something I don't truly like? So then I switched to
Yeah.
SEO on my website and that was much more profitable.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, that helps a lot. I know I've definitely thought, okay, yeah, I need to have like different sources of income here. You can't just rely on one. Um, and I think too, like having multiple avenues, you kind of promote each avenue with the other one.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, that's a big one too, though, actually, which I did not do for a long time. Is like you don't necessarily need to um, make brand new content for each avenue. Like if I have my article I wrote on my website, I can promote that content, new article on my newsletter, and then on my Instagram with a picture or a video or a reel, and then Facebook. Like you can kind of do the. You don't need to create brand new content for each because that takes way too long.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I've been running into that issue, especially working a full-time job too. It's like I just don't have time to focus on it and put the effort in that I need to make this grow
Right.
faster. So
Right.
it's kind of a hard balance there for sure.
I know. Yeah, if you don't have time, you don't have time. Like it's hard in the beginning, but if there's one thing you can focus on slowly improving, I guess see if you can make time for that. It's hard in the
Mhm.
beginning when you're working. Like I know the struggles.
Yeah. There's always things that get in the way, right?
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I'll say for me personally, it's been a lot of fun seeing like how this podcast has grown. I got the a book coming out, and just seeing how it's kind of helped people, even though it's been, I would say, a small impact. It's still touched people's lives, and it's cool to see that.
Right. And that's a big inspiration in itself too on like the days you might not be feeling motivated or the days you're like, is this worth it? Hearing stories like that, it's like, okay, this is worth it. I have to keep pushing.
Hmm. Hmm. Definitely. Um, cool. Well, any other stories you want to share? Anything else about your website, about your blog that you want to talk about?
Um, no, I'm trying to, I don't know if I have any stories. No, I think I just parting words, I guess, like, yeah, I mean, sometimes it is a struggle. Like, even 7 years into this, some days I'm like, wow, okay, is this
Yeah.
worth keep going it? But like, if you truly enjoy it, like, just know there are hard days and just, again, like you said,
Mhm.
like I screenshot when people send me a message saying, thank you so much for this article. We just planned a trip based on your post you did, or things like that that are really inspiring to me. And I save it all in a Google Drive folder. So
Oh,
you can like look it up on the days that are hard. I'm like, okay, I'm helping a lot of people with this. Like I am touching their life. So it
yeah.
is worth it.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
It'd
it
be
is really helpful.
yeah, a good folder that you can go back to when you need some motivation.
Yeah, exactly.
Very very cool. So Marissa, where can people find you?
Um, just I am postcards to Seattle. I'll spell it out on Instagram and then postcards to Seattle.com. Those are the main places.
Okay, perfect. Well, yeah, I know I'm definitely going to continue checking out, your content. I've really enjoyed it so far. You got some amazing pictures on there too.
Thank
Uh,
you.
and yeah, really looking forward to see where you travel next, and hopefully we can connect somewhere around the world soon.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, have a good one.
You too.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Hey everybody, Kyle here. If you enjoyed today's show and want more, you can always check out every episode on Spotify and Anchor. And now you can also listen on YouTube. Links are in the description below. If you want to see my travel pictures as well as travel pictures from guests on the show, you can check them out on Instagram. The page is called Our Travel Experiences Podcast. And if you want to share your own pictures on the Instagram page and or be a guest on the podcast, you can message me via that Instagram page or email me at ourtravelexperiences@outlook.com. I would love to see your pictures and hear about your travel experiences. And if that isn't enough for you, make sure to check out my new show, From Around the World Fridays. Every Friday, I'm taking 5 to 10 minutes to discuss one specific travel topic, whether that be questions I get from listeners, sharing some souvenirs that I've bought over the years, or discussing one particular city or country that I've been to, and so much more. You'll be able to listen to that via Spotify and Anchor as well, and be able to see the video version, which I'm really excited about, on YouTube. So check it out. I promise you won't be disappointed. And thanks again for listening, and I will see you around the world soon.